use in our local collections from Bulgaria. There are the Telemon templates because they're customized to the local collections that we have, and they're easy operable under the visualization front-end software, which you will see on Wednesday and Thursday. But they're not that much different from the general EpiDoc template. This is the generic EpiDoc template generated by the latest EpiDoc schema. Okay, maybe not the latest, but the latest versions of the schemas, which are updated by the EpiDoc consortium regularly, do not derive from this basic structure. You see the all the information presented together with all the metadata that you're supposed to have. All the meta information is contained within the TI header, as we told you, and the main root element after TI header, which is parent to all the subsequent element, is file desk. The actual description of the publication that you're using as a source for your material and of the physical monument that was used as a source for the publication, or maybe that you're using directly as a source for your encoding, if you're encoding straight from the stone and not using any previous analog publication, they come within this file desk. So an important thing to remember is that the first actually, maybe I should make it bigger. Hope I managed to see where, because some of the controls of Zoom are impeding me. Yes. So the first thing that you need to declare, some of these things are in the form of subtomato, which stands for statement. You make a statement, you declare something. The title of the electronic document, of the title of the, in our case, mostly the respective web page that will appear on the site with its title at the beginning. Yes, there's a comment in the chat. I had to see it. Yes, you're right, Philip, I think. This is the title of the electronic document. And the publication statement is also gives the authority that be it a project or an institution or whatever. For example, yes, as we discussed yesterday, Project Prometheus, Faculty of Philosophy to the University of Skopje or Belgrade or Sofia, and the IDNO, which stands for identity number. This is the identity number that you're giving your file, which may or may not coincide with what is the number in the corpora. This is also a very complex question. Perhaps you would like people to be able to identify the monuments that you're encoding by their by the name and the number with which they have been used until now, but the question remains how to integrate the born digital documents that have no previous publication in corpora. But yeah, my point is that here first you describe something about your file. Then you have the source description, on which we will delve deeper, and yeah, after the source description, you have I don't see it here because it probably can be omitted, but probably you need this. Before closing file description, you can have encoding desk and the description of who did what to the file, but I will have one or two presentations which will deal with these problems in more detail. Now let me open the first one. The main part of the object desk, the object description, is the so-called MS desk, which stands for, as we discussed yesterday, manuscript description, because TEI, which EpiDoc is a subset, originally was mainly designed for the encoding of medieval manuscripts. So this is something that remained as was inherited from the original TEI. You have several things which are called MS Desk in your files. So we have in every epigraphic edition, as well as in every EpiDoc file, we have the physical description of the monument, the locations and the history of finding, and dates and dating information, the history of the monument, the previous editions, which can also be referred to in the Apparatus Criticus, which is part of a division of the text part of the encoding. You can have here all the inventory numbers that you need. In this part of the metadata to the monument come the repositories and inventory numbers that come from the museums where most of the inscriptions are stored. There are inscriptions which are not stored in museums. They can be part of some later buildings. Some inscriptions can be integrated into the walls and the floors of later buildings, such as churches, monasteries, or even houses. Some public fountains, for example, it is a very common phenomenon from the Ottoman period, for example. Or they can be simply discovered and put on display somewhere in the urban milieu of a city or a settlement. And of course, you usually don't have inventory numbers, although they can still be part of a museum inventory in some way, but there is also another way to describe this as part of the history of the monument, but we will discuss this later. And then comes the thing which we have dealt with yesterday, text translation and commentary. We have dealt primarily with the text, but you can put your own translations and you can make as much commentary on different aspects of the inscription, text critical, paleographic, linguistic, cultural, historical, etc. In your commentary. And for the sake of visualization, when we reach that part, you can simply, if you don't know what to put in the inscriptions that you're encoding currently, you can put some dummy commentaries or take commentaries from the inscriptions that are already encoded to see how this is visualized. But we will reach that point. Here you see how metadata are visualized. Almost all epigraphic projects, which are, well, almost all projects dealing with classical archaeology and epigraphy, I have to say. I don't know about Mayan or Hindu or other types of inscriptions, which all also tend to use EpiDoc these days, but the classical inscriptions, the inscriptions coming from classical antiquity, together with the papyri on the papyri info database, look, if not completely identical, very, very close to each other, because they're basically based on the same pattern. The EpiDoc structure that you saw previously. If there are some customizations and deviations from this generic structures, they are still compatible to the general EpiDoc schema in order for the files to be able to validate against the schema and to be interchangeable with other projects. So yeah, as I told you, this is designed for primarily for manuscripts in libraries, and the repository number was primarily intended for library repository. So the repository was obligatory when this was first added as a module in TI, the generic TI schema, in its P5 version, which is from 2007, and this is the current version with only slight modifications since then. The provenance was optional, and the measurements were two-dimensional. In EpiDoc, as a subset of TI, a subset quite often has some stricter rules, some stricter obligations how to encode things. The provenance is not optional. And of course, the measurements are mostly three-dimensional, not two-dimensional. Here you see a snapshot of how a manuscript in this case, Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales was in the Bodleian Library of Oxford was encoded. And yes, this is again a part of the structured cheat sheet that you saw before. The MS identifier, which stands for manuscript identifier, you can indicate country, especially if you have a project which encompasses several different countries. For example, this, I think, is taken from the IOSPE project, when they have inscriptions in repositories dating from the time of the USSR. So you have monuments stored in at least two different countries. That is nowadays, this is Russia and Ukraine. If you're making a small project with inscriptions from only one place, I believe this is not obligatory, so you can leave the country tag empty, but don't suppress it, don't take it out of your template, because it will give a mistake. You can have additionally a settlement. You can have a repository, which could be a GLAM institution, a museum, an archive, and things like that. You can have a description of the material support of your monument, where usually you have indication of the material of which the monument is made of. In our case, this will be, of course, stone predominantly. If you're not including some inscribed pottery, for example, in your epigraphic collections, it will be predominantly stone, but you may want to indicate what type of stone is used. We have special authority lists in our project that deal with the enumeration of the types of stone used, be it limestone, marble, sandstone, etc., etc. You have the physical description of the monument contains object description, and the object description is divided in several parts, of which one part is the support description, where you indicate what type of object this is and what material it is made of. For example, a marble ara or sandstone pedestal for a statue or something like that. You can also have a list that enumerates the object types that you have in your collection, but we will also come to this later. And then you have something called layout description, which always contains a sub-element called layout. Just as much as support description obligatory contains at least one element called support. And then in the support, you can have running text, which is usually encompassed by Ps, by paragraph tags. And you can write here whatever you wish, but if you have a word or a phrase, a string, whatever that describes your material, be sure to also encompass this and tag this as material, because you probably would want all your inscriptions to be able to be filtered by that criterion. And layout description also contains a daughter element called layout, and in it, I believe in running text without the help of the P element, you can say where exactly on the physical object is the inscribed part, because sometimes this is not a trivial question, and you can have different varieties of inscription. For example, if you have an image, a relief or something, it could be above the relief, below the relief, surrounding the relief, above and below and on both sides. If you have a sarcophagus, which is another object type, you might have your inscription on one side of the sarcophagus, and sometimes encircled by a special field, usually a rectangular field where the inscription stays, and etc., etc. And after you do the object description, which consists of describing the support, the material support, and the layout, you have a hand desk, which stands for hand description. And in the hand desk, you can have one or more hand notes, which describe the paleography of the monument. And the paleography of the monument also can be described in running text. Here you can include all the peculiarities of the text that you cannot fit anywhere else. For example, for the different types of scripts, you may indicate this this here. You can indicate, for example, if we're speaking about Greek inscriptions, you can encode all the different types of peculiar letters. For example, the sigmas, if the sigmas are regular, or a lunar sigma, or sigma quadrata, or something like that, you can describe it here. And here is where you also give the measurements of the letter heights. So this is substring, which is here you can have in hand notes, you can have running text, but if you have letter heights, you obligatorily tag them as height. And this height, when it is in hand note, it is clear that it stands for the heights of the letters, because you have another type of height, the height of the monument itself, but we will come to this later. You can have exact measurements of letters. You can have measurements of the letters from to. For example, it could be this amount of millimeters on the first line, and another height in the rest of the lines of the inscriptions. And this, if you go back to your cheat sheets from yesterday, when we described the another quantifications, such as the extent of lines or characters missing, you can have the attributes at least, at most. So if the letter height is from 0.2 to 0.6 centimeters, you indicate it here with attributes to the element height. And the question with the history of the monument. In the history of the monument, you have several things which have names which are very close to each other, and in everyday speech, if they are not used as technical terms for the description of metadata in XML, they could be interchangeable. So you have to be careful about this. Origin, you have in history, you have sub-elements origin and provenance. Origin stands for the original place of production of the monument. This is the ancient place. And you can have auric date as sub-elements, where you give the date of the inscription. And you can have auric place, which gives the ancient place where the inscription was produced with its ancient name. For example, if we have an inscription which was found in the vicinities of today's Belgrade or today's Sofia, in auric place, we have to write down Singidunum or Serdica. Provenance, which usually the only provenance which is absolutely obligatory to fill in the information for, is the provenance with the attribute type found, and an additional attribute that you can have, but it's not obligatory, when it was found, and this is important for you. The provenance is the modern place. If an inscription was produced in ancient Serdica, and it had to deal with the population of Serdica, the settlement of Serdica, or any events that took place in Serdica, Serdica's officials, imperial visits to Serdica, etc., etc. This is related to the original place of the monument, but it is found in what is today the city of Sofia. So we distinguish between those two. And of course, we have cases when we have an ancient settlement to which we don't know the name. So you can have here in auric place name, instead of a particular place name, you can have a description of the exact place where you think an inscription was produced. For example, we have examples in Bulgaria of some votive reliefs which were found near a cave when there was probably a sanctuary, a water sanctuary of the nymphs, and there were Asclepiaea and so on. And we don't know if there was an actual settlement there. We don't know if this ancient place had its own name, and if it had, we don't know the name. So here you can also describe the place of origin with running text different than an ancient name. But if you do have an ancient name, it comes here, and it can then be referred to a gazetteer such as Pleiades, which we will discuss probably tomorrow. But provenance type found, you have to be careful to distinguish between origin, which is the original place, and provenance, which is the modern find spot. This is where the modern place when the inscription was found.
Just a quick note, please,
yes.
because I saw this, it's not a mistake, but it's a peculiarity of the presentation and the the template, type ancient find spot actually stands in provenance type found. It's counterintuitive and it's really weird, but it is like that. It is an obligatory attribute of provenance type found.
Okay, yes.
So we just have to correct this because this is important.
I think that we also have to update this with some additional information because I don't see here many features of the physical description.
I will show them in the object description.
Yes, yes, yes. There's more
But
to it than this. And when you start filling in your own metadata, you will see this all at once in one place. Here, the training materials that have been produced so far decided to scatter them in several different presentations, but you will get used to it. So we have also the physical description of the monument itself, which will come shortly. Okay, who's taking this? Is it okay?
I can take the next
Okay.
one, and just this note about the ancient find spot because it's really confusing. I will share my screen and I will show you on the template. Here, just 1 second. Here on the template, provenance type found. Here is where the ancient find spot stands, and the auric place doesn't need type ancient find.
I want to say something when we look at this template. Can you go back to?
Yeah, but just 1 second.
Our own. So we also have this, as you see, in auric date. For example, if you have, you may not have an exact dating. You may have exact dating, which is exact to the point of even months. For example, if you are familiar with the titulature of different emperors, we have cases of inscriptions, and you will have cases of inscriptions where you can date an inscription up until the month where it was produced, because, for example, in 2014, the Emperor Caracalla was designated a consul, but he still hasn't received his honorific title of Germanicus or something like that. But this is the rarer case. Usually, what you can have is a datation which is simply this could not be something else than 3rd century CE, because of the script that was used, which was characteristic of 3rd century CE. In this case, the auric date, as you see here, uses the attributes not before, not after. 3rd century AD would be not before the year 200, not after the year 299. And also bear in mind that we're using 4-digit numbers. This is because, again, this is because it was designed primarily for manuscripts. And we rarely have manuscripts which date from before the 10th century that we can deal with. So the default values of attributes such as not before, not after are 4-digit numbers. So if you have the year 2040, for 240, for example, you must indicate here 0 to 140. Yep. And if you have a datation which was before Christ, before the Christian era, you will have a minus sign to it.
Yep.
Minus
here.
0 to 140.
Here
but,
we have
you can also here include the datations which span through a whole century. Another thing which is very, very interesting to deal with, but this is also a question of debate. There are some authority lists now for time periods. If you have something like the beginning of 3rd century AD, what do we do with this? How exactly do we quantify the beginning? And
First 25 years.
probably yes, but I don't believe that this is but because you can
I
have
think that this is the standard. The first half is
the question is that there
till
is no
50.
standard. There is
The first half,
there is
and the beginning is till 25.
Sometimes it's the first 15 years. I have seen this. There is something called periodo, which you can use for this purpose, but it's not accepted as a standard which is accepted as true and valid for all. But yes, there are some attempts at standardization, and you can base your decisions on that.
I think that we have this in the dates presentation.
Yeah, okay. And I will also link to the periodo thing. But another very important thing that I forgot to tell you according to this presentation, you have provenance type observed, except for provenance type found. Here we have as sub-elements the so-called seg, which stands for segment, because we want to have everything in a bilingual form description in both English and Bulgarian. In your case, it will be English and your local language, Macedonian, Serbian, etc. This is why we have these segs, but if you do a monolingual corpus, they don't need necessarily to be there. But provenance type observed means two things. You may not choose to fill this. This maybe is not something that holds true for all the inscriptions that you have. This is first, it could mean any episode between the production of the monument, between what you encode in the origin part, and the provenance type found information between its finding and its original production and its current modern find spot and modern whereabouts. This is if somebody has seen these inscriptions somewhere else in the meanwhile, say a traveler from the 18th century saw this in a church or in a hammam, as it sometimes happens, a Turkish bath in the town of Küstenville, which was now demolished. And now the inscription in question is found in the original historical museum at Küstenville, but it was once stored at the hammam. And in this case, you fill in the information in the provenance type observed here. Or another thing that can be filled in here is if the inscription is found somewhere in situ, built in a later building, or exposed somewhere in the urban milieu for everybody to see, or presented somewhere in an open air lapidarium or something like this. This is also something that you can fill in here in provenance type observed, which is kind of complementary to the repository and institution, because in this case, an inscription might not have an institution where it is stored. It is simply out there somewhere in the door. We have had cases of inscriptions which served as altarpieces in churches. For example, in this case, and they continue to serve as altarpieces in churches, and in that quality they are not very easily accessible for anyone to see, but still you want to encode the information that they are there. They are there. In this case, you also fill the provenance type observed. So this is firstly if somebody has observed the monument, had observed the monument before somewhere else and in different circumstances, then it's a modern find spot. And if the monument is to be found currently somewhere else outside the museum. And yes, this is what I was about to say until now.
Okay, so yeah, I will walk you through this template before the hands-on exercise anyways. So I think most of this information we will repeat one more time if it was like too much for you. And I will sort of repeat most of the things Mitko already said, but anyways, here they are structured a bit more like you have the presentation, so you will have easy access to them. About the object description in more details, you already saw this slide in the previous presentation. Again, we are using somewhat repetitive presentations, but I think there's no harm in that. So here we have the metadata for this papyri. Yeah, yep. And the description, exactly the things we talked about, the width, height, depth, text inscribed on the face, letters, dating, find spot, original location, last recorded location. That would be the provenance type observed. This is the visualization of the code of provenance type observed, and bibliography and some more information, not obligatory. So something I said yesterday, the parts of the EpiDoc document, the TI header is the thing that we are going to deal with today. The image part, and the text part that contains the apparatus criticus, the translation, and the commentary. And we briefly discussed, we actually discussed the encoding part, but the translation and the commentary and the apparatus criticus are not that hard and difficult. Yep, I just remembered about the P tag, the paragraph tag that is scattered somewhat in different places in the examples in the presentations. The paragraph part basically deals with the visualization and makes things visible in certain tools for visualization. So this P part was really important in FS, but doesn't matter in Ajax. So you won't have to use it here in our workshop. But if you if you use FS, you will have to put P's in some places in order to your inscription to be properly visualized.
Also, in some places, if you don't enclose your description into P's, the schema will say that it's not valid. But whenever it allows it, you can do this.
So, yep, inside the TI header, file description, source description, MS desk standing for manuscript description, yeah, physical description and history. So this is like the hierarchical order of the elements. And yeah, this is how it looks on the more general template, the EpiDoc template.
Yes, this is what was missing from actually the other presentation.
Yeah.
After the file desk, you have the encode desk and the profile desk.
Profile desk is something we don't use, yeah, but should be used in more complex cases. I mean, if you expect your collection to have peculiarities in this particular field, then you should probably include profile desk from the beginning and use it consistently. Just because of those 5 inscriptions that need specific clarifications about the calendar used and hence and so on. The encoding description, on the other hand, is something that isn't on the main EpiDoc template, but should be, because it is really important. As I told you yesterday, ideally in a project, more than one person works on one inscription, on one XML file. Once you encode it, you give it to another person to review it and to make corrections, because only one person can easily make repetitive mistakes. So that is why to keep track on the changes, we have this encoding description, the revision description, pardon me. Revision description, where you have the information of exactly when the thing was encoded, what was corrected, what was erased, and so on. So every time another person or even you make correction in the XML, you should put the date and the small sentence stating I have removed this and added that, and so on and so on. Otherwise, in a bigger project, you will get lost. And even in a small one with 3 persons, still it is highly recommendable to have this in the XML itself, not somewhere written in a chat or whatever. So, yep, in our template, we have this revision description, and we are quite strict about adding changes and here in the revision description. Yep.
Yes, and if I might say, this also gives responsibility for the persons who edited the monument electronically, and clear responsibility on who did what, because after all, let's not forget that this is an edition. This is an edition which should be recognized, and I believe that it will be recognized at some point as valid as the printed publication in a corpus. So it's important who came up with the data that are then presented to the public, who is responsible for the information, and in the case when this is acknowledged as a legitimate electronic publication, and we are moving towards that time, I believe, and I hope with faster pace, then you can claim on the basis of this meta information which is contained in the document to be a co-author of the electronic edition of the inscription, which will be basically the same as having a printed publication of the inscription, because what we are doing is editing inscriptions. The fact that we're dealing with our keyboards on a computer does not change the fact. Okay, this was my interruption.
Yeah, but it's an important interruption. So, yeah, here again, more about the physical description of the monument. Much like in a printed edition, the elements would be like what type of object do we have, what is the condition, what is the material used, the dimension, if there is any type of decoration. All of this can be marked up, can be made using tags. In case you would want to make your corpus searchable based on decoration, certain types of decoration, or object type, material, and so on. About the condition, yeah, probably you can encode that as well and make it searchable, but I don't think it's necessary. Now, letters, of course, letter heights, just like in the printed edition, dating, paleography, different letter forms, abbreviation marks. About the abbreviation marks, you can include them here in the physical description of the monument, or you can leave them for the commentary section. It's up to you. There are two correct ways to put this information. About the ligatures, again, you can have them here or you can have them in the apparatus criticus, actually. And for the symbols, sometimes you cannot encode the symbols, but you have to like explain what is seen on the stone. You can put it here in the letter description, or you can leave it for the apparatus criticus. Again, different types of decision. The text field would contain a layout description, where exactly on your monument the inscription stands, what are the dimensions of the inscription field, and the execution. I will later show you what tags are used for these descriptions. Yeah, so far everything you have on a printed edition, you can have encoded in the digital edition. And once encoding it, you can make it searchable by every single one of these criteria. Let's take a look of an example of a description that you would probably see in a printed version. So this is the description of a monument. It's part of a marble stele, cut down for a use as a column capital. It has a certain dimension. It is roughly in size. It has roughly in size palm branches at the ends of lines 2 and 4. That would be the support description. The layout description is where the inscription stands and is inscribed on the only surviving face. And then you have the hand note description. Again, nothing new. Prose text, just explaining what you will see. This, as you see it, would make your electronic publication contain all this information, but it won't be searchable. You cannot search, okay, I want to see all the monuments that are marble or that are stele. So what we want to do is to include tags to point out this information and to make it searchable for the computer. So the material is marble. The object type is stele. And then you have, what do we have here? What's the next? The dimensions, of course.
Yes, something very important.
Here, width, height, depth. And then roughly in size. This you may use the it's quite useful, this tag reference string. Reference string is used basically when you're not sure what to put. Your reference string is acceptable in most of the places throughout your XML, and may contain a lot of many types of information. So here the editor has chosen to use reference string type decoration, but you can put your decoration definition in another in a DecoDesk.
Yeah.
In a DecoDesk.
Yeah, there is also the DecoDesk if you wish to use it.
So reference string is more universal, and DecoDesk obviously is particularly for decoration.
You may or you may not need it.
Here.
It stands at the end of the physical description after the hand desk. Another quick thing to think about when you have nothing to put here. In the visualization, you can choose not to display, because we have passed through such decisions in our project, you can choose not to display a part of the description of the metadata when you have nothing to say about this. But maybe it is preferable to display something every time and to say here not applicable, or just to put a dash to indicate that there's nothing to say, because if it's missing from your output, the people will wonder if this is because it is not applicable or it is because it has disappeared for some reason. So it's always probably important the elements, the modules of meta information that are not applicable, or there is no information about them. Just write down something as NA, or unknown, or a dash, or a dot, or something, and leave it in the description, leave it visualized, because we have no applicable information for this thing, for this aspect of the monument is also information that you might want to represent, and not simply something missing from your
Yes.
output.
So just to explain again that okay, obviously you begin with a prose text that is seen in every printed edition. You can choose to extract the different types of information from this prose text. And in order to be able to extract these types of information, you have to encode them. It is up to you how deep you would, how detailed you would encode the description of the monument. For some reason, you may not be interested of the materials used. It might not be a scope of your project to state that most of the monuments in your project are marble, but there are some limestones and so on. In that case, you just won't use this tag material. You will leave it as prose text. The information still will be there, will be visible for the user, but it won't be able to be extracted and to be classified. Yep, let's see. Again, in the layout, this description, we have another example of reference string type execution. So different types, different element attribute types with different values gives you different types of information. Reference string being as universal as it is. And yeah, we don't use it, whether for what type of execution there is on our different monuments, but for some reason you might want to state it and to have it classified by this criteria. So there is a way to declare it. And yeah, here you can have the dimensions within the layout description. You can have the dimensions of the inscription field if you want to. This is an empty element, but once you remove this dash, you will have an element ready to be filled with dimensions, with height and width. Let's see what else. Yeah, about the height of the letters. Again, you should put the actual numbers within the height element. This is something important, and I have an example prepared for you. If you have text in multiple parts. Sometimes your inscription might be, well, on a sarcophagus, for instance, there is a small inscription on the lid of the sarcophagus. There is on the right side of the sarcophagus, there is another inscription. On the left side, there is another inscription. Still, all these inscriptions are on one monument, but they are divided in individual parts. So for this, we use MS Part 1 and MS Part 2. We have different MS parts and we give them personal XML ID. Once you give it an ID, this ID specifies that you are speaking about the same monument, but one part of it or part 2 of it. Let me show you. Yep, and of course you can have different descriptions on these different parts, because one part can have one physical description and another part can have another physical description. Let me see. I don't have an example for this.
We don't, yes.
Yeah, but for instance, if there's a large inscription, it's broken into. The one part of it is in a church somewhere near the altar, and the other part was found in a field 2 kilometers away from that church.
Yeah.
So these both they are part of one monument and should be treated as one monument, but they have different history and different description because their location is different, their state is different, and so on and so on. In order to describe them individually, but still to read them as one monument, you have this XML ID, and you double the information, I mean, the description, the physical description. You have physical description for part 1 and physical description for part 2. Yeah, this is a bit complex case.
But it happens.
But it happens. And the most important thing is to have different IDs on the different parts of the monument. Let's see. Nah, this is in case they have common history, but they have a different physical description. But they can have different history and even can have different identifiers. It may be really complex. So just yeah, just keep in mind that you might encounter that, and there are ways to encode every this type of information. As complex as it gets, it can be made clear. But for a more simple example, I wanted to show you. Just let me see where it was. Where did I include it? Nope. Workshop here. Huh.
Let's see, we're searching for a particular description that we have.
Yeah, I was thinking about, but I remember where it is, so I will just scroll and find it. Yeah, here there is a quite common this case with
Oh, yeah.
different parts is rare, but this is quite common. You have one monument, but one part of the inscription is on the upper part, and the other text is on a different part of the monument itself. So this is treated as one monument with two text parts. Here you see I didn't copy it. I'm going to show you in the Telamon site. You can see the XML itself. There are two AB parts. Standing for anonymous block. And in these two anonymous blocks, you describe your, you encode your text.
Yeah, but the thing which is simple here is that all the monument is at one piece and it's in one place, so you don't have to divide the metadata.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
this is not always the case. This is why we showed you.
What else I wanted to show you?
Should I list this on the examples or no?
Yeah, I think I did, but I just clearly don't see it. I may put it somewhere that I don't remember where. And anyways, about the metadata, it is here in the EpiDoc template, as well as in our template. It is quite simple. Here, your task is not that hard because you have a description. Ideally, you have a small description of everything you are supposed to just put within the triangular brackets. So here you have the material, and within the material tags, I will just write, this is a limestone marble. Yeah, but ours is bilingual. So I will write marble in the English part. And
Mramor in the
I will write mramor in the Bulgarian part. Basically, you have to double the information in two languages, but the really cool thing is that you only do it in one XML. You don't have to do like two different XMLs into different languages. You just double the information in the two language sections.
And it's consecutive. You have them all in one place. So what you write down in one language, you immediately translate it into the other.
Yeah, so most of the times this part of the MS description is just fill in the blanks. You won't have to do anything more complex than that. When you have a more peculiar example, then you have to probably consult the EpiDoc guidelines, as I advised you always to do when you're not sure how to do something. But either in most of the cases, you just fill in here the different types of data that you already have in your printed edition that you work from. Yeah, so let's take a look. Yep. Let's take a look at the dates. Mitko briefly said some things about them, but now I will just give you a little bit more examples about types of dates you may encounter in an inscription in different places of an inscription description, dates, dating, and age of death. dating of an
And you can
object.
see.
Yeah, here is a clear example that this is 3rd century before Christ, minus 4-digit date format, not before 300, not after 201. This stands in the Auric date, original dating. I don't know how it should be in expanded form, this Auric date. So not before and not after are the attributes that we use for a period, a range of some sort. And here is the correct format. If you by mistake miss a 0 or do something else that isn't correct, your oxygen would automatically turn red. So no need to worry about that. If you mistake and if you make a mistake and do not use the proper way to describe an age, it will scream for you to correct it. Now, here is, well, this is a bit superfluous information for me. Precision medium is that it is fairly precise that this can be ascribed to the 3rd century. In most cases, you won't have this precision. We would use the precision when it is low. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think
Yes.
that
I always stress on this. Precision low means that
you're not sure.
you're not sure, but precision high, why would you use it at all if
Yeah, precision high and precision medium are some things that exist in the schema. You can write them down, but otherwise they won't be displayed in any case, and they are not that informative.
only the precision low could be displayed as a question mark here and there, or as a circa, or as something like this, but the other ones won't visualize at all.
Yep. So that is exactly what I was going to say. Precision low would give you a C dot standing for circa, yeah, this period. So we are not sure, but around this period is where this when this monument should be dated. Forget about precision medium, just use the precision low. When you're not certain about something, you use precision low. Dating methods. Unfortunately, the dating methods are in the US standard, aren't they? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they're in the US. They're in the US standard, and that is something that we generally forget because we are not used to it. But anyways, you begin with year, date, month. Just in case you need it, remember where to find it in this presentation. You may have different dating methods, and in that case, you have to state them. These are, yeah, complex cases, but still you would have to, you probably have to consult the guidelines, the EpiDoc.org guidelines, in case you are wondering how to describe a peculiar, more peculiar date. Again, about the precision, here we have the medium precision. I would suggest to use just the low precision. And Another obligatory thing for dating is the evidence. Obligatory wasn't correct for me to say. It is not obligatory by the schema, EpiDoc schema.
Yeah, your schema will not break if you don't
You
do
can
this, but highly
easily,
advisable that you say
yeah,
something about
you
this.
can omit it and it won't anything, nothing will happen. But still, it is highly advisable to have an evidence based on what you think this dating is applicable for your monument. So the evidences have some values that are, let me see if, oh, pardon me.
Yeah, I was looking for the same thing. The values that are recommendable, but not.
These are the values. Just let me, oh, evidence. They should be listed somewhere. Anyways, we have them.
Dating criteria.
Where did you
Not
see
searching
that?
for dating criteria.
Here. Sure, yeah. The EpiDoc schema suggests a short list of value. Okay, so we have them here. Evidence.
Okay, I found it. Maybe I can share my screen also. Or...
No, just 1 second. Here are the lists, the evidences you might want to use. There's archaeological context, internal dating, lettering, material context, nomenclature, office, prosopography, textual context, titulature.
If you want some a few words about any of this, archaeological context, of course, is if you don't have any indication other than the original archaeological layer when the inscription was found, you use this. Internal date is when the document itself mentions the dating. Lettering, quite often you don't have anything but the type of script that directs you to the okay, this type of script is typical for the 3rd century. Material context is something which relates to the materiality of the object, but is different from archaeological context in respect with. So let's say archaeological context depends on the other things which were found in the same archaeological layer together with the original monument. And this one is something like, for example, the marble quarry in this location was used from 2nd century BC to 3rd century of the Christian era. So this marble monument could not date from outside this period, something like this. The materiality of the object itself and not the archaeological context in which it was found points to a dating. Nomenclature, for example, if you have a provincial with the Greek name of Diodorus, if he was named, for example, Aurelius Diodorus, this means that the form of the name itself indicates to some date after the year 212, where with the edict of Caracalla, all the subjects of the Roman Empire became citizens, and thus they received official names, which all started with Aureli. So the type of naming that is characteristic for a particular period or which establishes a particular terminus ante quem or terminus post quem. Office means the dates of rule of an emperor or a mandate of a provincial governor or other official which is mentioned in the description, and we know exactly the period of office of these people which are mentioned as rulers or official in description. Prosopography means a person I mean, unlike nomenclature, which deals with the form of the names, an attested person, which as a historical person has a known date of death, birth, or floruit, which is established by other sources, and if it is mentioned in the document, then we know exact dates or termini ante quem or post quem. Textual context, which sounds a bit weird, but yeah, I participated in a discussion when such things were decided, which means that something that is mentioned in the text, such as event, for example, I'm making it's totally made up example, but yeah, an inscription which says something. My wife died in the eruption of Vesuvius, so you know that this inscription could be, or this papyrus rather, would be more applicable for this. Is dated with terminus postquem AD 79. Titulature, the thing that we mentioned briefly previously, if Trajan is received the honorific title of Germanicus, but still hasn't received in the monument the honorific title of Dacicus, this means that this inscription is dated after his victory over the generals, but before his conquest to of Dacia, and things like that. This is, in broad lines, what is the advised dating criteria.
Just to make an experiment, because I'm not quite sure, but I think that the evidence is, these are the advisable values, but still you can use your own.
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, you can write anything you want. It won't make your XML invalid, but you should probably stick to those to the list that we just showed you, because of consistency throughout the project and across projects. So, yep. Once you normally once you start typing evidence and you reach this part where you have this quotation marks, you will have a list of the evidences available. I will just leave it with XXX here, as it was in the template originally, and so we will exercise all of these things in the afternoon. So basically, our job today is quite easier than the previous day, but than yesterday, because here you just fill the information within the already existing spaces. Let's return to the dates and the age of death, and after that I will have to leave you for just one presentation. I hope that Mitko would take over from here. So yeah, precision, medium, evidence, lettering, nomenclature.
You can put several things here. Yes.
You can list more than one evidence. Basically, most of the cases, you have more than one evidence, so you just list them with commas or without commas. Again, it doesn't matter. You just list all of the applicable evidences. Dates. When you have a precise date, you don't use at least, at most. You just use the exact attribute when. When in this day this happened. Of course, it may that is super rare, I believe, and in most cases you have a span from this year to this year. Age of death. This is inside your inscription, and I wouldn't advise you to encode this within your inscription, but that is me personally. That's my opinion. You may encode the age of death within the inscription itself, or you may keep this information for an authority list. We will speak about the authority lists and how useful they are tomorrow, I think. So for now, just take my word for granted that the better way is to use have this information elsewhere, not here in the inscription itself. But certain person lived certain amount of time, date, type, lifespan. Wouldn't bet that lifespan is still valid, but we will try that in the afternoon. And here we encode all these annus plus minus Septuaginta menses within the date element. This doesn't work for sure. For this, I'm sure that it doesn't work, so I'll just keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marriage span is another thing. So you can have different types of spans that are quite common on the inscriptions. That you have lifespan, military service, and marriage span. They are encoded with the date element with different attributes and different attribute type, pardon me, and different attribute values. For instance, this is marriage span, the previous was lifespan, and when you have military service span, it would be called, obviously, military service span. These are not restricted.
Yes, again, if you decide that you need to encode all this.
Yeah, it is probably interesting to have them, but if you choose to encode them within the XML of the monument itself, it may make it a little bit too big and too hard to operate, to deal with. Yeah, so that was it about the dates. We will speak about the dates a little bit later in the afternoon. I think this wasn't everything that could be said. So now I will leave Mitko to places and location, if that's okay with you.
Yes, and maybe the exotic case of the structure of the text, if you want. We'll see.
The
And the
structure of
certainty
the
and precision,
text.
which has really extravagant formatting, but yeah.
Certainty and precision, I think I can take over if I'm
No, we will see. Okay.
okay.
So yes, and
Sharing.
in the meanwhile, I have linked the things that we have done so far. The quick reference to the generic EpiDoc structure, if you go to your workshop program, the manuscript description, the object description, and the dates. And now I'm gonna show you a short presentation about the places and location. This is, again, probably more detail that you will need, if not ever, then for now. But it does help to have everything that you might need at some point. So places and locations, and you can have the need to designate a specific place or location in several places in your XML document. So we'll probably pass through them all. There are the following types of locations, broadly speaking. The original location, the find spot of the monument, the modern find spot, a modern location, or a last recorded location if the monument has disappeared, or if its modern location is different from its find spot. Repository in a museum, which can still be different from the find spot and different from any other location when the monument could be observed. And last but not least, places which are not places referring to or pertaining to the place of the physical monument, but other places which might be mentioned in the text. So these are places in the text, and the other things are places which are found sometimes outside the text and refer to the monument and pertain to monument's metadata. So once again, as you saw in history, you have auric place. In this thing, this is a place of origin inside a more general location. You can have this also, because we have different projects that have different spans. Projects such as the inscriptions of Aphrodisias, which is a corpus of one particular city, or inscriptions of Roman Cyrenaica or Greek Cyrenaica. These all are inscriptions which deal with different places in the context of one and the same ancient site. So in auric place, in this case, and in some cases, this is accompanied by a site map on the website of these corpora. It could be a particular place in the context of an ancient archaeological site, such as this, the Caesareum, the Caesareum, where it was found. And you have the auric date, and you have the provenance, which here is presented as running text. There are obviously two pieces, two blocks, two parts of one and the same epigraphic monument, and it is described how exactly, in what circumstances exactly they were found and reused after that. There's actually even a third block as far as I can see, and their current whereabouts are also different. One piece of the monument is now at the museum, and other pieces which were found in different times, one found before 1941, this is before the Italian invasion of the region, and C and D found in the post-war decades. They are in their respective find spots. So you can have complex cases like this, but the good thing is that everything which should be stored under provenance, I'm reminding you, can be described as a running text if it's too complicated to formalize everything with tags. Yes, you can have a reference to an internal authority list, which we will see tomorrow. Probably we will create our own authority lists, or we will use existing authority lists to link to them in our documents. So you can have here and in other places also attribute which reads a ref, which stands for reference, and a ref can refer to an external or internal authority. Yes, and the thing that we said about the distinction between two types of provenances, provenance type found which is the modern find spot, and provenance type observed. You can, as you can see here, this key attribute is something which nowadays it's deprecated. So we want to use key almost anywhere, but your reference could be to an external source. We also see this one tomorrow. But yes, the point of all this is that the reference can be to an internal or an external list of places. And you can have also the inside this running text. Here you see also the reference string, which refers to here in this case the monument from Cyrenaica, the place name with a reference to an external gazetteer, an external authority, lists to the ancient polis of Kyrene, while the internal reference, which is done with this reference string thing, it refers to an internal authority which describes in more detail the exact places in the context of the ancient find spot. But as you can see here, you can also nothing stops you from also creating within this description in running text, annotating the dates which refer to the dates of the finding of the monument inside the text with date with attribute type found. If you think that this will be relevant for your collection, once again, a useful exercise is to think if you want to classify or to filter or to index different types of inscriptions by the dates of their finding. If not, this information could be deemed redundant. But then again, you might want to give this redundant information in the raw text, raw XML data, even if you don't intend on visualizing it. The thing is, as with all the descriptions of data and metadata in XML format, as we discussed yesterday, the thing is, when do you decide to stop? Because there is a way to include almost anything. And if we deal with different pieces of a monument which were found, which were found in different time and stored in different places, provenance type found, as well as the other one, provenance type observed, could be repeated within the mother history element, the parent history element, as many times as you need. So if you have segments A, B, C, and D of one and the same monument, you can repeat, you can copy paste this provenance type found element and then refer to the different parts of the monument. So this, for example, is provenance type found, referring to number 1 or number A of our several fragments, and then you have number B, etc., etc. Hope this is clear. And you can have also provenance type found is where fragments A and B were found, but you can have also provenance type observed, which is the find spot where, not the find spot, but the spot where these fragments of one and the same monument could be observed last, which could be their current location, as I told you. And you can distinguish between what is in the museum and what isn't the museum. You can preserve provenance type observed for something like our fragment B of an inscription in this case, which should be observed in its find spot, and the fragment type A, you can well, you can state here that currently fragment A is in the museum, but you can also state this information when you fill in the museum and repository number, which is under MS identifier. What else do we have here? Yes, you can also refer to the institution of the museum either here or in the MS identifier with an internal or an external reference. Probably it is a good idea if you're working with museums and if you're collaborating with museums and your source of information comes from museums, which is in some cases that is indispensable. If you want to have the exact inventory number, current inventory number in a museum repository, you have to get this information from the respective museum that stores the inscription. Otherwise, it probably could be indicated in some previously printed corpora, but this information might be obsolete. I know for sure that in the Inscriptiones Graecae by Georgi Mikhailov, inventory numbers of museums were given, but in many cases these are inventory books that date from decades ago, and most of this information is now obsolete. So bottom line, it is good when you're collaborating with the museum to give, whenever you're quoting the museum as a modern location of a monument or a modern repository where a monument is stored, to give a reference to the museum website. This is a good way of giving credit to the museum, and a good way of also giving some popularity to the website of the respective museum if you point to it in your collection. So yes, here we have the same information enriched with new reference string on every step, so you can have as detailed information as you wish. You can give with this reference strings exact information about different places and spots within one and the same archaeological site or a museum. And in these external or internal authorities that you want to link your data to, as we will see tomorrow, you can also have an exact geographical reference. I mean, geographical coordinates, longitude and latitude, which are more or less exact. So you can give coordinates if you wish here. In this case, in the Cyrenaica inscriptions, this refers to an external XML file, which is called monulist, list of monuments, and the exact spots of the current location of the monuments are given in this monolist with their exact coordinates. So you can do this, you can do reference. As I told you before, in MS Desk, under MS Identifier, which is the first daughter element in MS Desk, you can also have exact repository and repository number, which is another way to point to a location which is linked to some GLAM institutions such as museum, archive, in this case, national preserve. You can have archaeological preserves, as in the case of Taurit Chersonesus, and different things like this. Usually, in the case of inscriptions which are found in museums, we deal with them primordially in this way. And in provenance type observed, we may indicate that this is now in the museum, but it is more useful to indicate something that is in situ or somewhere outside the museum. You can also have in the different provenances that you're listing, if you have observed ex autopsia your monument, in some cases this is important, you can have a provenance type autopsy. I'm not sure if this works correctly currently with the latest templates, but this is also a possibility to which you can adjust your visualization scenario if it doesn't work for now. Why is this important? Because if you look at the different projects that are trying to cover different areas of the ancient world with where excavations took place at some point, you see, for example, places in Libya, places in Ukraine, and places in different modern regions when there is military conflict and when there is unfortunately a certain type of uncertainty if these monuments will be ever seen or accessible again. So in the case, for example, of the IOSPE project, which started in 2014 and often had to deal with find spots and places of provenance which were engaged in modern times with the conflict between Ukraine and Russia in the Donetsk region, not to speak about the find spots in post-Gaddafi Libya. You might want to have this provenance type autopsy to indicate the different occasions. You see here with date and attribute type when, probably with year and month, and you can also put as a last two digits the exact date if you know it. Sometimes in cases like this, when you have some sort of, let's say, rescue digitization of cultural heritage that might be lost at some point, you might want to also designate all the occasions where the respective monument was last seen ex autopsia. As you can see, this is part of the metadata for an inscription which was the last 3 times in which it was seen was 1991, 1999, 2001, and 2002. But you can also do this in provenance type observed. This you might use specifically in the case when you want to stress that you have seen this ex autopsia and preserve the provenance type observed from some previous instances, for example, some historical instances, as it usually happens in the context of Balkan cultural heritage, where something was seen by historical visitors or its first publishers, etc., etc. Places mentioned in the text itself. For example, apo Syrias, of course, you use the place name. The place name can refer to, I would strongly recommend to use ref here and not nimref. A place name could use a reference to a place name list. When you store as a separate XML file in another folder of your project, we will dedicate a whole session tomorrow morning to how this is done. Or you can refer also to an external authority list, which in the case of geographical names is called gazetteer. And usually the references to a gazetteer also hold standardized, actually, georeference to an exact representative, as they call it, spot. For example, Syria is a province name, and of course you cannot geolocate the territory of the whole province, but if you want this reference to show somewhere on a map, and it is possible if you have the exact references to particular places to produce maps where these places are shown. You need some sort of representative geographical reference point to which the whole reference to the whole province of Syria will lead. So any of these locations, be it in provenance type found, in origin provenance type observed, or provenance type autopsy, or places mentioned in the text, or museum and other types of repositories, all of these can be linked to external authorities, to external sites, or to internal list of places and locations, all of which can be referenced with the exact points of okay, this is what you see in a usual list of places. Of course, everything in that list of places is ID'd. So if you have a list of items to which you refer internally or externally, it is crucial that all of your items in this list be different personal names, different places, different attested persons, etc., etc. All of them receive their unique identification number, which in the case of internal references is done with the attribute XML ID, which can be declared only once in the whole of your collection, and every item that you want to ID can have only one unique identifier number, but this is something with which we will deal in the days to come.
Yeah, just a quick note about the ID, because I see that all the examples have quite complex IDs, and that is completely not necessary and only leads to confusion. So in case of Benghazi, please do not name the ID Benghazi.
Benghazi and not X
Not,
10 Y 0.5,
yeah.
because you will get utterly confused when you have not 5, but let's say 100 places to which you
Yep,
can.
that is quite important, especially in case of personal names, persons, and so on. We made the mistake of listing them with numbers, and believe me, it is a complete mess. That's internal information that I probably shouldn't share, but it is a fact.
Yes, you have to go back to your list and search for the exact
Do not make this mistake. Use simple and intuitive IDs. The ID could be any a letter or number combination. So you're not restricted. You cannot use special characters, but letters and numbers in any sort of combinations. Keep them simple. Just keep them simple in order to memorize them easily and to use them to find things more easily later on. I think that this was an important fact.
Yeah, this is quite important. Now, if you wish, we can do something about certainty and precision, and then I will show you a presentation about structure of the text, which you'll be lucky if you don't come across such an example, such an instance that you have to encode really soon, but you'll probably have to deal with it at one point or another. So certainty and precision, which has quite an extravagant formatting, but this is Gabi Bodard's fault, not ours.
And we didn't change it. That's our fault.
We didn't change it, yes, but we can beautify later. So once and for all to make things clear about when do we have to deal with certainty, when do we have to deal with precision, how to distinguish between both, and when exactly can we use it. Certainty or uncertainty deals with the uncertainty or incompleteness of supplied content. For example, if you have a supplied part of the text, as we saw yesterday, supplied reason lost, then we want to supply. The editor wants to supply text with some editorial text that the editor believes stood in the place of the lacuna, but they're not certain if this was the exact thing that had to be restored. There is the imprecision of numerical values. You can have something between at least 5, at most 7 centimeters. There is the uncertainty of editorial decision. So these are several different instances of uncertain information. For example, we have in an inscription cos consul. We here expand the abbreviation in the way that we showed yesterday. But then we have something starting with ku, and we are not sure if this is a word which has to be supplied as curator or something else, but we believe that it might have been something like curator, because obviously we have other instances of such usage which were identical. So I want to say we supply this missing text as curator, but we still want to say that we're not 100% sure about this. So supplied reason loss, certainty low. Actually, if in this presentation we have something other than certainty low, I will strongly advise you to use certainty low. We will see. And this visualizes with a question mark accompanying the supplied string of letters that we restore as missing. We have an expanded abbreviation. And we think that this pr, which stands on the stone, should be expanded as presbyter, because we think this presbyter was the abbreviated word, but we're still not quite sure. Oops, sorry. What we do is we expand the abbreviation, and we do the whole drill that you probably are now all too familiar with, especially if you have done all the expansions of abbreviation in the Latin inscription, which uses them all too often. So you have the whole thing encompassed in expand. You have the abbreviated part, per, and then you have the expanded part, which visualizes in brackets in our round brackets in our editorial text as biter, but you want to put a little question mark in there and indicate that you're not 100% sure that this per stands for the word presbyter. So you add also here, you can add certainty low. You can add in many instances and in many places in the code certainty low. And as Elena said, don't worry in the places when you cannot have certainty low, the validation against the TI EpiDoc schema will certainly say you that, okay, this attribute has no place here. And if you can use it, then it will say nothing. Another thing is that if it's always visualized, as we stated before, if you have certainty type low, it is almost always visualized, but there are some cases when you have incomplete restoration. For example, you have our in your monument, and it obviously is an abbreviated form which stands for the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, but you're not exactly sure if how to finish the word, what exact endings should stand. Is it Marco Aurelio, or is it Marci Aureli, or something like this? And yes, you encode with X your expanded part of the abbreviation. And you can indicate that this is partition. You can also indicate when you expand this abbreviation that this is only a partially restored word. How do you do this? You use the attribute part, which stands for exactly this. It stands for part. And it indicates that this is the initial part of the word, mark, of which the arc part is what we expand as an abbreviation. But this is only the initial part of the word. You can have the medial part of the word expanded or restored, or you can have the final part of the word expanded and restored. And you use, if you encode all this as a word, which you want to be tokenized, you can indicate that this is only a part of the word, and you cannot restore the whole word with certainty, together with its ending, because the context of the inscription does not allow this, or you cannot expand the abbreviation, and as in this case, so that you can give the abbreviated part a proper ending. Imprecise quantities. You can have a gap, a lacuna of circa 20 characters missing, or an unknown amount of characters or lines missing, or something between 12 and 14 characters missing, depending on how many ligatures were there in the original inscription on the exact that place, which is now a lacuna. So we have here, we use not certainty, but the precision, because we're certain that something is lost, but we cannot give the precise extent of the lacuna. So we say gap reason lost, quantity 20, unit character, and we add the additional attribute precision low. Or we can have, of course, gap reason lost, quantity 1, unit line, because it works as well with characters as with lines, and we have precision low. We don't know if one line from the end of the inscription is missing, or there were more lines that were missing. For example, the inscription is damaged from below, and we think that it is only a part of the end which is missing, but we cannot be completely sure. So I'm reminding you that here, instead of unit character, you can also have unit line, and it works exactly the same way. Then in these square brackets, which indicate the place of the lacuna, together with the number of the characters or lines missing, if you add the precision low attribute, you will also have, in the visualization, you will have this small c, this circa added to it. We don't know exactly what is lost. Then you don't need to add a precision tag. You simply add gap reason lost, extent unknown, unit, character, or line. You have the beginning of inscription, which is damaged at the bottom part. For example, you have a list of efeboi from a certain provincial polis, or a list of a religious group, of a religious Tiesus, of the community of the Bakhans of, I don't know, Nove or Ratiaria or Stobi, and below the lower part of the inscription is lost. And because of the nature of the inscription, in the nature of the text itself, you don't know if in the part which is lost, we have 2 or 20 names more missing. But in this case, you simply use gap reason lost, extent unknown, and unit, character, or line. If you have relatively certain amount of space missing on the stone, but you still cannot put your finger in it and say, okay, here's a place for exactly 12 characters, you use at least at most. So you have, again, gap reason lost. You have a space here, a lacuna here, which spans from at least 12 characters and at most 14 characters, depending on how these characters were written, how much place did they take in on the stone originally, or how many ligatures were in between them. So there is these three different ways to indicate imprecision in the span of your lacunae, which is something that, again, was hinted at yesterday when we showed you the text encoding cheat sheets. And you have also this in the cheat sheets. Imprecise dates. What about imprecise dates? We don't have. Okay, probably we should use an inscription to show you, because here is, as far as I see, there's an empty slide. Uncertainty about editorial decisions. Let us go quickly about this. So you have one line missing, probably, but we're not sure. We have certainty low, and we have locus and reason. I'm not sure if we can use this actually in our current template that we have.
In our template, you probably can use it, but it won't give any. It won't be marked anyways in the visualization.
Yes.
This is a little bit more complex, and yeah, we could just leave it for now.
Yes, but we can also say that usually when you point to a certainty, you might also want to point to a responsibility for this statement. Okay, we are not certain that this and this is missing, and we are not certain about our restoration. But we say that there is a particular editor of this monument who is responsible for that statement, and then you can have the additional attribute resp. And here the value of the attribute is a certain name of a previous editor or certain name of one of the several editors of one particular monument, who claims that Pere was shortening of presbyter or something like this. But this, again, might not be visualized in the output of your project, which means that this is purely internal information. In the same way, you can show when this exact editor or the founder of the monument or somebody else who looked at the monument's text and took particular editorial decisions, when they stated it, okay, this is decision of this and this archaeologist who excavated the monument in 1946, so to say. And you can also point to an abbreviation of a source if you have a corpus or a printed publication, for example. Here you can have an epigraphic issue, this and this from that and that year, who claims that this is the exact reading, of which we are not certain that takes place here. But yes, all of this, let me repeat again, is internal information that you probably won't have visualized, or the visualization, if you insist on it, would be a bit too complex, and the results that you will yield with this visualization will probably be of, let us say, of doubtful use to the end user of your monument. And now, I don't know, probably last but not least, let's see some very complex cases. Well, they seem complex in first sight, but everything in them could be probably done with text parts and with some indications inside the monument, and then we'll probably can gradually move on for the time which we have to the practical exercise of encoding your data, because after that, in the afternoon, we will move on with some additional presentation and hands-on exercise on how to share your information on GitHub, which you will probably have to do at one point or another. So let's see, and this is an example of a very, well, first of all, do you have any questions and comments until now? If not,
everything clear.
yes. If not, probably some things will pop up in the decision-making process when you will have a hands-on exercise on dealing with your own material. So now I'm just showing you a very extreme example of what you can have yes. You can have textual fragments, and you can have, as you saw yesterday, all the edited text of your monument lives in div type edition. But inside div type edition, you could have div type text parts. And you can divide your text in as many text parts as you wish. Sometimes, yeah, as we showed you earlier, as Elena showed you, you have the monument referenced now in your program. You can put the different parts in your text in different AB blocks, which stand for anonymous block, but the most clear-cut way to do it is if you do subdivisions in different div type text part. And the text parts can also have subtypes. So you can really divide and subdivide your textual divisions. And there are some fragments here which are encompassed in anonymous blocks with line breaks which read only one line, and there are some textual fragments which are non-comprehensible and beyond any sort of interpretation. This is why they are encoded with the help of the ORIG tag, which stands for original. This is what stands in the original text. We can do nothing with it more. And you also may want to put numbers in your fragments. The numbers, the attribute, the value of the attribute n can be either Arabic numbers, Arabic digits, or Roman numerals, or, as even in this case, small letters representing Roman numerals.
Just a quick note, it can be text as well.
Yeah, it can
If you
be
want
text
it,
as well.
if you want to have it displayed,
yes.
Here in the example that I showed you before, the different text parts were defined as above the fragment, above the relief, and below the relief.
Yes, yes. So you can have here whatever you want.
If you want to visualize them, it's probably better to give them a human readable name, not something too abstract.
Yes. Here we have two columns which have several fragments in it. So you have one text which is spans in between two columns which are numbered column A and column B. And fragment 1 and 2 are in from column A, and from column B we have fragment 1, 2, and 3. You can do this with nested subdivisions. div type text part subtype column number A. This is column A. And you can have div type text. This is one of the recursive elements that you have, such as provenance type found or provenance type observed. Rather, you can have text parts, div type text parts within div type text parts, and provided that you give different names of the subtypes and different numbers of the subtypes, this should be no problem. So in column A, you have section number 1 and number 2, and in column B, you have section number 1, 2, and 3, and here you put also the text then of each fragment of each section. This is the most more complicated example when you supposedly have 3 columns, but you have fragments of columnar text which span across columns. And here again, you can do this, you can achieve this with types and subtypes, provided that you give a particular number of these. If this fragment, which is the Roman numeral 1, belongs to column A and partially to column B, you put this into subtype column A and also into subtype column B. While the second one, which belongs only to subtype column A, is present only here. I don't know if you're able to follow, but if you will have your presentation link and you can switch between this visualization of what's taking place and this encoding. Here we have fragment number 1 in both sides, and fragment number 2 only here in column A because it exists only here, and 3 we have in column B and column C because it spans between them. And then you can double with the visualization in such a way as to connect properly the part of fragment 1 which is connected in column A with the part of fragment 1 which is connected with column B, and in respectively the part of fragment 3 which is connected in column B and the one which is contained in column C. But this is a job of the visualization scenario. You only need to indicate with elements and sub-elements where exactly do you want this to be nested. But I hope that you will not deal with such an example, such complex examples pretty early in your encoding practice. Columns in fragmentary text. You have here again one fragment which contains elements of both column A and B, second fragment which contains elements in almost only column A, and a third fragment which contains elements in columns B and C. So what we do, we switch the daughter and the parent element, and you say, well, the first text part is the fragment, and it contains fragments from columns A and B. The fragment 2 contains elements only from column A, and the fragment 3, as we can see, contains elements of columns B and C. Okay. And some text parts which are non-contained within each other. Then, in this case, which is really, really complex, inside the lines of the inscriptions itself, so here you have some inscription in, let's say, 10 lines. You can put milestones, which would refer to the separate blocks of your inscription, if you believe that this is the case. And hopefully, if you make the visualization scenario, it will put the numbering of these milestones like this. But this is really the most complicated case that one will basically encounter in fragmented text. But I hope I have given you at least the idea that no matter how fragmented a text is and what divisions and subdivisions you need to do within it, there's always a way to formalize this, provided that you're consistent and that you make sure that all of your divisions and their respective subdivisions are nested in each other, even if they span across different sections of the text. It is the identification, the numbering with letters or with numbers or with some text indicating what fragment exactly is this, that will later help the visualization scenario to stick these different fragments and these different parts together.
Actually, right now, I think that the complex part is not that much the encoding in itself, but the visualization. The
Yes,
visualization the scenario should be really complex, and if you have only one case with this complex inscription, and and you are sure that you will have only one in your whole collection, you should probably keep it simple and not go into that much detail, and keep that all these explanations about the different parts in the apparatus criticus or somewhere else, just not on the as a markup.
Yes, and as we saw in the commentary and in the metadata, you can refer to different fragments which have different history and place of storage by marking them up differently, okay? This holds true for fragment A, but this holds true for fragment B, as you saw throughout the presentations that we were having. Okay, so this is everything that we had to present concerning the metadata. How shall we proceed?
Well, I have prepared a little bit more complex example on encoding the text, what we did yesterday.
Okay.
I believe that we skipped a very common but more complex case. And I have found one of our inscriptions that would illustrate in brief what will happen most likely in once you begin to encode on your own. So that is my suggestion, just to quickly show you again another Greek inscription. Otherwise, Dragana, if you want, we can proceed with something else, with control vocabularies or something. But I think that in order to keep things like chronologically, we should just take a few moments to take a look at this example. If it's okay for all of you, I don't know. I will share my screen. Yeah.
I'm thinking now the last presentation that we went through.
Pardon me. So the inscription I have prepared lives again here in the sample inscriptions, and it is linked last in the Greek inscriptions. It is a statue for Caesar, statue base for Caesar Maximus, and just 1 second. I will copy the text and show you that it's something that is really common. And yeah, I think I can safely copy just like half of the inscription, per instance. or I can copy whole thing and just show you the most interesting parts. Here I have copied another template of ours. And after scrolling fast through the metadata, I reach this place here where we paste our text. I will make my screen.
Okay, see how the point here creates trouble.
Oh, pardon me. And I will toggle text. Toggle line wrap. And here we have an example of the very first, I think, presentation, one of the first practical presentations that we spoke about, the triangular brackets that do exist as epigraphical sigla, but are recognized from the machine as an element, as a tag.
Okay, let me see what's taking place here. Which number is this? I'll check the commentary and see if this is omitted or this is corrected. This is the maximum.
Lamprotitis supplied, I think.
No, it's not Maximus. Caesar Maximus. Okay, I'll go through the emperor list. Gaius Julius Verus Maximus. So this is, oops.
Here it is, and I will answer you quickly. There's you can always use this as a cheat sheet as well.
The encoded text is seen here.
And the Lamprototus is supplied.
Okay, so supplied reason omitted probably, or simply supplied. Yeah, this is because triangular brackets can be, yes, if something was omitted or if something was corrected. And yes, we want to be sure.
So we will begin with that, so that our supplied reason omitted. And now it's all green, and I can begin to show you. We spoke yesterday about lemmatizing and the editorial corrections, and sometimes they do overlap. And that will be the case in the very first lines of our inscription. I think. Yep. So now I will just begin from line 2. We will say that this is a word. Megiston is also a word. Kai is also a word. And Theotaton is also a word. But what do we have
this is
here?
super important. Yeah. Thank you for raising this up.
What do we have here? This is lost. This ST is lost. And it's quite simple. We say this is supplied. And then we give a reason lost. Those are the square brackets up that we don't need anymore because we have just defined that this is lost, and it will visualize these square brackets. That was the easy part. We did that yesterday. But what do we have here? Kai, the E is lost, and the second word is also lost. So our instinct would want us to do something like this. to use the supplied tag and mark everything that is lost. But you see that it gives us a mistake. And could somebody tell me why do we have a mistake?
Because we have overlapping.
Yes, because the tags are overlapping and the elements should contain, all the elements should be within themselves. They should not overlap. So
our instinct starts from the visualization. Okay, we want to start the supply tag when the opening square bracket is and to end it where the end square bracket is. But once again, the moral of the story is that you don't start from the visual output, but you start from the semantic of things.
Yes, again, the XSLT is clever enough, and our way to define that this part of word is lost and this is lost as well is to mark them separately. So I will close the supplied here. And right now we have K, E is lost from this word. And then the whole second word is lost as well. So another supplied is needed here with reason lost. And now it's just the way you make the computer to see that these both parts are lost. And it doesn't, yeah, again, I missed a theta here. Be very careful. I don't know whether, have you tried a little bit more with Greek inscriptions or with any inscriptions? If any of you has the same problem, it's super common. Sometimes it just erases more than one symbol. It's a peculiarity of Oxygen. And on this computer, I have it. And I have to be constantly watching what I have, what I'm typing and what I'm deleting. So here we have a word, Kai, and a part of this word is missing. And here we have another word, and the whole word is missing, and we have supplied it. And this is actually super common, and you will see it across the text in various parts of the text. Here, yeah. Here on line 5, there's another good example. If I put line...
I'm reminding you that if you have 2 square brackets like this in your XML, like the one closing and the other opening, in between other square brackets, these both will neutralize.
Yeah, in the visualization, you won't have. You saw that in the first one of the first presentations. You won't have problems with this being defined in 2 supplied reason lost.
This is because they did it like this, not to confuse the tags, the opening and the closing tags.
So basically, the XML doesn't interfere with the text, with the visualization of the text itself, if you do your job correctly. And let me show you just line 4 and 5 with tu megistu kaiteotatu. Here we have megistu word. Kai, another word. Word. And autokratoros. Another word. This is a person. This whole thing is a person. So on line 6, again, we have transferred word autokratoros. And this part of the word is lost. Supplied. Reason. Lost. And then the person is not only lost, but is also deleted from the later because of I'm sorry, the memorie, damnatio memoriae.
Yes.
And here, so this part is lost, supplied, reason lost, and not only it is lost, but it is del rent what was it? Del rent deleted.
Yes.
Let's consult.
Yeah, if you forget, it's always handy.
Del, but you don't have the del rent here. You don't have the reasons.
Yeah, you can check the cheat sheet.
No. I'll just open the XML itself. Not that one. Not that one. What was the number? 3 in 112. And here we have supplied
reason deleted, maybe.
reason. Yep.
Or
erasure.
del rand erasure, yes.
Erasure. That's what I was not sure about. So here we should del rent erasure. And yeah, that was the hard way to find the proper value, but in the cheat sheet, you have them here.
Yeah.
Del rent erasure. So basically, what you have to keep an eye, and the easiest way is to lemmatize first and think about the editorial corrections second. Otherwise, if you do the editorial corrections first and then try to lemmatize, you will have to correct the already encoded text. In most cases, you just have to enclose the editorial corrections within the tokenization, as was the case here. I don't know. I hope that this was easy enough. Yeah. Anything else here? Nope.
No, I don't believe.
But you can open this, you can download this example and try to encode it and see whether you will encounter any other difficulty, because I'm not seeing right now anything more peculiar, but probably I'm missing something. Anyways, that's enough from us.
Okay.
I'm stop sharing.
And yes, now it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock local time in Sofia, and it's time for our 1 hour lunch break. And after we get first, we have, well, probably Dragana, you would announce, you could announce this. We will have, for a change of pace, we will have something to do with GitHub, a presentation hands-on. And then we can make a small hands-on exercise on putting metadata up in your files.
Yes, thank you, Mitko. So in the afternoon session, we will have one of our guest lecturers, Angelka Zečević from the Mathematical Institute. And she will, as Mitko said, give a presentation and then hands-on practice on how to use GitHub, which I think we can all very much use. And now I think we can safely finish this session for now and let everyone and our trainers who worked very hard have a pause. So we will reconvene at 2 o'clock, and please just you have all the passwords in a link session document, so you can use it because it's easier for us to follow the recordings on YouTube if we have separate sessions. So if anything changes, I will accordingly change in the document and change the streaming link, but you can use everything that's already there. It's checked. So we'll see you again at 2 o'clock.
See you at 2 o'clock.
Bye.
See you.